And welcome everyone to another Katz Chats here for the Missouri Valley Conference. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by Illinois State head coach Ryan Pedon. Ryan, heading to Missouri State, a little bit of a skid here in 2024, but the pieces are there to flip it. So the question, of course, is, and you guys still have a brutal schedule. I mean, you're still on the road quite a bit here in the next, 2 weeks. What's the best way to change this narrative here over the next couple of weeks?
Well, Andy, great to be with you, first of all. And yeah, it's been tough sledding for us. We've lost a couple of close games, and then we've played some really, really good opponents. And, I think, first and foremost, Missouri Valley Conference is unforgiving. It's a lot like the Big Ten, where there's no easy nights. There's no nights that you can bring your B game and expect to win. You gotta play every game like it's your last. And we got to continue to we got to make shots. I think if I'm thinking on the offensive side of the ball first here, we got to be able to make shots at a higher clip. We're a better shooting team than our numbers indicate. And I think when you're struggling and you're losing some close games, I think that can affect psyches a little bit. And I've got to do a good job of continuing to put our guys in positions to shoot with great confidence and have great faith and confidence in themselves, because for the most part, we're taking really good shots, and we just got to knock them down. And we're in a position where 2 or 3 extra shots per game is gonna make a difference for us. So we got to do that better. And then defensively, you got to be sound. We got to be sound in every single night. I think the games that we may have struggled more defensively, we've given up more points in the paint than I would ever want to. And we've got to start, and we build our defense from the paint out. We got to be really committed to that on a nightly basis.
Yeah, it feels like that you guys defensively, maybe those issues are able to be a little tighter, especially late in games. That doesn't seem, if I'm sort of look at the two issues, it feels like offensively the scoring droughts and not having the guy that you can comfortably say, hey, go get me 20. Three players scoring in double figures right now on average for the season. The shots you're saying are there, but they're not being converted. Like, where can that offense change for the better here as you get into the heart of the Valley?
Well, I think the Missouri Valley, there's not a lot of fast breaking, because if you look at statistically over time, Missouri Valley, they want to get back and set their defense. Teams in this league, very few of them are superior offensive rebounding teams. So we're going to be facing. You got to be able to win games in the half court, a lot like the Big Ten again. And I think for us, generating the shots that we're generating, I always look at, like, all right, how are the quality of shots that we're generating? And in our last 3 games, we've hit 3, 5, and 1, I believe. And you're not going to be able to beat good teams. And we're certainly not equipped to beat good teams by just pounding it inside for 40 minutes and think that we're going to win like Kansas wins, where they've overpowered guys on the interior. I think that can be definitely part of our game. We've been great at getting to the free throw line. I think we lead our conference in free throw attempt rate. And we've been great with offensive rebounding. But at the end of the day, are we generating the types of shots consistently that we want? And then can we make those? I think having a bona fide score, I think that's valid. And we need some more consistency out of a few guys. But that's the challenge right now, Andy, to be honest with you. And I don't want to simplify it too much for you, but I also don't want to overcomplicate it. We're going to have to shoot better than 25% from 3 to beat good teams, no matter what conference we're in.
So one last thing here, just if you can, I know we're in the middle of this, and you got Missouri State and Murray coming up, all these stuff happening, but if you can take the bigger picture, what I've seen over years in doing this is that there are different schools that take their turn at the top. And, obviously we're in a little run where Drake's been consistent, where Bradley's been consistent, but that all wasn't the case. Suddenly Indiana State's the best team. That wasn't the case. Northern Iowa's had its turn up there. So when you take a step back in this new era in the portal, we've seen guys from Southern Illinois having great years in the Big Ten. Now, they were grad transfers, but what are you seeing right now in terms of what you need to do as you're navigating this season? to make sure that Illinois State is one of those schools that takes its turn in that top 4 in the years to come?
Well, I think you know, first of all, the way we're building this, I want to have a level of continuity. I'm not going to be completely reliant on the transfer portal. I want to be a developmental program. And if you look at the teams that, for the most part, have been consistently at the top, and I'm going to start with Northern Iowa and look at, okay, Jake's been there, I don't know how many years, let's say 15 years. They've consistently been one of the top 4 teams for the most part in most of those years, top, at least in the upper tier, in the upper 5 or 6. And they've had great continuity. And I think your program equity is very important, right? If you have a system and you have a program and you can have repetitive classes year after year after year, where you can create some of that regenerative leadership, that's important, I think. And because I don't think the talent differential is all that great for most of the schools in our conference. I don't. I think a lot of times it's the teams that are just the most committed, the most familiar, that have played together the most, and that can execute on both sides of the ball. Because in this league, it's both sides of the ball. There's no gimmicks or tricks that are going to get you to a championship.
And just to put a bow on it, I think when I mentioned the Southern Illinois guys, I hope that all these teams in this league, if you're going to lose someone, you lose someone as a grad transfer. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
That's okay in my book. You know, I mean, you've played your 4 years, or you've played, you know, you're a senior, you graduated, and if you want to go for one last, fine, whatever. But you know, I'm hoping that these schools don't get poached early on after freshman year, after sophomore year, because that's to your point of building that continuity. If you can keep someone, you know, for those 3-4 years at your place, that's obviously going to benefit you in this league.
It's easier said than done, you know, at our
I
level.
know.
In a lot of ways, you know, I think the way this is playing out is, you know, you can look at mid-majors and say it's a lot like, you know, being manager of a AAA baseball team. And if you recruit or you sign a good player and then he gets great, he may be gone. If you recruit or sign a player that you bring up through your single A and double A and triple A, and you develop him, by the time he's in his third or fourth year, he's gone too. So it's frustrating. And I do hope that in time here, as the dust settles, we can come up with a system that, you know, thinks about both sides of the equation here, because I don't know that it's always, you know, Tom Izzo, I know, is very outspoken on this. You've interviewed him on this multiple times, but I don't know that the transfer and the freedom to transfer is always necessarily the best thing for all of these kids. There's definitely cases where it is, but giving them ultimate freedom, I think sometimes you lose some of the values that are so great about, you know, amateur or semi-amateur athletics.
I agree. Well, Ryan, appreciate your time. I know you're heading out on the road. Be safe. Try to stay warm, and we'll talk soon. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, Andy.